Ayo, what's good everybody? It's your boy Jim is back with another YouTube video, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys my top 4 point guard builds in the NBA 2K20. Now this is my opinion and my opinion only, and I've played with all of these builds on the list, and it's subjective to me, so yours could be different, but these builds aren't, it's not like the number 4 spot, the last spot, is going to be bad. It's just that I think it's worse than the other builds on this list. So I'm not going to have stupid builds like the prospect on this list or whatever. It's a short list. So let's get right into it. But before that, make sure you drop a like down below and also subscribe if you haven't already. If you've seen a few of my videos and you still haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. So just make sure to pause this video real quick and hit the subscribe button. And if this is your first video of mine, you hit subscribe so you can see some more, so you can evaluate me then. I make a lot of NBA 2K20 vids, so yeah, let's just get right into it. At the number 4 spot, we have the offensive threat, which is the green and blue pie chart. Now, the reason this is at the 4 spot is because it's missing a very important part for it, which is the defense. Now, I made mine with 6 defensive badges, which I believe a lot of other people made theirs like that too, but I think the max you can do on this build is 10, maybe. But if you do that, you're lacking in other important parts that you need, such as the finishing and the shooting. So this build was really popular around, I think, November and December of 2K20, when people weren't really focusing on defensive builds like that, and everyone wanted to do was just be a god on offense. So people made this pie chart because they realized that speed didn't really matter. Between 80 and 99 speed, there's not much of a difference, and also between the gold and Hall of Fame quick first step, there's not much of a difference there. So people were like, okay, I can use this gold quick first step also with like a 90 speed and be almost as fast as the pure Playmaker pie chart. There weren't any repercussions to making this build over the pure Playmaker build. Now at the number 3 spot, we have the slashing Playmaker, which is the blue and yellow pie chart. The advantages of this build are obviously its slashing and its playmaking ability, and it's also very fast. Now this build has decent defense, especially when you make it 6'5" or 6'6". The defense isn't really one of its bad qualities. It's really the shooting. That's pretty much the only problem I have with this build, and even then the shooting is mediocre. As you can see, with like a 66 3-point shot, most people would think, oh no, a 63, I mean a 66, I can't shoot with that. But you really can. Like, if you've seen some of Joe No's builds, I think he shoots with a 55 3-point shot on some of his builds. And it's like, I've shot with this slashing Playmaker build, as you can see, with 1 shooting badge. I have Hot Zone Hunter bronze, and that's it. And I made this build originally for boot camp, and I was playing on a 75 overall, consistently hitting from the corner. I mean, if you had all your shooting badges, you could easily shoot from Limitless on this build. So it may be one of its downsides, but it's also not really that big of a deal. And it's elite at driving. So when you're trying to dunk on people, it's just automatic. As long as you know how to dunk on people, you're good. And if you don't, I have a video about that on my channel. So if you want to go check that out, it's called How to Get Contact Dunks. I think a lot of people like that build, and those are just the things I use to get more contact dunks. But yeah, let's get right into the number 2 spot, which is a tie, actually. So at the number 2 spot, we have both the Playmaking Shot Creator and the Slashing Playmaker, which is like the pure Playmaker pie chart, not the blue and yellow one. So we'll start off with the Slashing Playmaker. So the Slashing Playmaker is good because it's like an all-around offensive build. You only get Hall of Fame badges on Playmaking, but you can still finish and shoot really well. You can see with the 80 open shot 3 and 85 mid-range, you're just fine with shooting. That's not a problem at all. I think the Playmaking Shot Creator has an 88 open shot 3, so 8 points off isn't really going to kill you. But you're elite with your speed, and you can dribble very well. It has the highest ball control for any build in the game. And your defense, as long as you build it right, isn't that bad. I messed up when I made it, and I only had 6 defensive badges, but you can get up to, I think it's like 11, but 9 is perfectly fine on this. All you have to do is take my build and lower the finishing badges you get and put up the defense, because I was trying to get 15 finishing badges instead of just 12, so I put it as close to that as I could. But yeah, the only thing I was missing out on this was the defense and the blocking stat, because the block stat for point guards is a lot more valuable than I think most point guards realize. You can get blocks very easily as long as you got the right badges and the high amount of blocking stat. So yeah, that's why the slashing playmaker is at number 2. Also tied at the number 2 spot, we have the playmaking shot creator, which is the green and yellow pie chart. And the reason I have this at the number 2 spot is because although it may not have as many finishing badges or whatever, it's all about your playstyle. That's why I have both these tied. If you want to drive a lot more and kick out to your teammates, that's what, or even if you just play rec or pro-am, that's what the slashing playmaker is for. The playmaking shot creator is pretty much just for if you want to shoot. If you want to play twos and you want to shoot, pick the playmaking shot creator. You want to be fast, be able to get open really quickly with those hesitation moves and stuff like that, and then shoot it. That's what you need to play shot for. And that's also what a lot of really popular content creators were using in the beginning of the year. I think the play shot was my first build, and then the slashing playmaker was my second. Once I realized that I'm not really a shooter like that, so I needed to be able to drive as well. So if you're trying to drive, don't make the playmaking shot creator. It's not built for that at all, and you can tell from its stats and its badges as well. But the defense is, I'd say it's mediocre on the playmaking shot creator. As long as you build it right, you can play defense pretty well. But if you make it short, there's a small downside to it. You're not going to be able to defend people as well. But I also put up the block stat a little bit on this, and I think my play shot is 6'4", but I put the block stat on this build, and I block people not consistently, but when it matters, I can go up and block a point guard. I made this build specifically so that I could not only guard the hop-stepping two-way slashing playmakers, but also so that I'd be able to shoot and make plays just fine afterward. So yeah, let's get right into the tie at the number 1 spot. So again, we have a tie at the number 1 spot, just like at the number 2 spot. We have the two-way sharpshooter and the two-way slashing playmaker. And the reason both of these are tied at the number 1 spot is because they both are two ways. Defense it was very important in 2K20, and most people just didn't realize that until closer to like February or March. I think that's when the two-way build started to just blow up, especially like playmaking glass cleaners and stuff like that. But Lamonsta knew this all the way from the demo. I think he was the first person to have the two-way slashing playmaker build, at least the first not mainstream, but the first content creator in the 2K community to have it and use it effectively. And once people saw him hop stepping on it and stuff like that, people were like, all right, we got to make the two-way slashing playmaker. And you can see on mine, I have a very high block stat and a lot of defensive badges, and I block people. I get chase downs all the time on centers, point guards. It doesn't matter. And this build is like a quadruple threat because just like with the slashing playmaker from earlier, it's got a mediocre three-point shot, but it's also got enough driving dunk to dunk on people and get contact dunks, and I have enough badges to do it consistently as well. Now, it's not as good as the blue and yellow slashing playmaker, but it's not that much worse either at the same time. So yeah, let's get right into the two-way sharpshooter. And now to the two-way sharpshooter, which is tied with the two-way slashing playmaker because they're both two ways, and the two-way sharpshooter is the green and red pie chart. Now, the disadvantage of this build is that it's got similar finishing stuff to the playmaking shot creator, but I made this build at 6'5", and I think that's what most people made the red and green pie chart. That's how they made theirs. They made it at 6'5", either 6'5" or 6'1". Those are the two that people do, because 6'1" is I think it's the all-around two-way or something like that. But yeah, I made mine 6'5", so he's got it's the same defense as the two-way slashing playmaker for the most part. Even though you have a 78 ball control, you can still speed boost. I think at 92 or 93 overall, you can speed boost off rip, and you're not that slow at all. So yeah, you can shoot, you can play make, and you can play defense. So the only downside is the finishing, and it's not that big of a deal since you're 6'5". So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure to leave a like down below and comment about what your favorite build was and why. Let me know. I want to know what some people's favorite build was this year. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. All right. Peace.